Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. Awesome to have your company and very excited about the Discovery series with all things Sospiro. This is a concept that I've enjoyed bringing together. There already are a number of brands that are part of this experience. The idea is that you and me can experience fragrance in real time across the world. Boom. Now there's two ways that you can enjoy this media. My recommendation is purchase a Discovery set from Sospiro and be able to follow me as we smell fragrances together. The way you do that is jump on the Sospiro website, use the code NFC. That'll give you a 50% discount off the Discovery set. By using the code NFC, the team will already know the fragrances that we will be selecting. If you haven't purchased your Discovery set yet, then I would bookmark this production. The way you do that is click here, save it here, and then when your Discovery set arrives, go back to this production and we can begin together. Alternatively, just keep watching and enjoy this as a review. Now, if you do have your Discovery set, and I'm hoping you do, I'd love you to set up your fragrances in a particular way. First, we're going to talk about Vibrato, then Contralto, Deep Ocean Amber, followed by Basso, and we're going to finish with a hidden gem, and I absolutely adore Pasticcio. I'm going to tell you more about this one here. Now, we are going to spray on skin, so ideally have a card so you can begin to experience the fragrance, but there will be a few that if something sort of pings for you, I'd love you to put it on skin. There is one that I am going to ask you to put on skin, but I'm going to save that as a bit of a mystery as we go through. Okay, let's begin. The word Sospiro, what does this actually mean? Is it just a cute little word, or does it actually have meanings to the fragrance? Words like vibrato, contralto, basso, these are all operatic terms, and Sospiro actually is a musical term. The composer Franz Liszt in 1845 created a musical piece called Un Sospiro. Have a look at it on Spotify. It has this beautiful, gentle flow, this delicate pauses, and this slow build. Think of a lapping ocean on the shore where the water's coming in, coming out, pausing, coming in, and then all of a sudden, whoop. The word sospiro means to sigh, both in Italian and in Spanish. And it could be a sigh of relief, or it could be tinged with joy or even pleasure. Think of when you smell something beautiful and you do that, well, there's an sound. The ums don't count so much. But it's the exhalation. Sospiro can also be interpreted in perfumery. So the pauses, this sigh, these moments of olfactory notes floating through the air. Tell me you have not experienced something like this in the past, where all of a sudden you're like, what is that? So there's that breathing in, that inhalation, that pausing, and then finally the exhalation out, that sigh, the sigh of olfactory pleasure. For me, Sospiro is all about the olfactory joy when it comes to perfumery. One thing is for certain, you're going to find that every one of these fragrances has incredible longevity, incredible staying power on your skin. You're going to get 10 plus hours. Its sillage and projection, both are in the moderate to high. There is nothing here that is a timid fragrance for yourself. When you're wearing the Sospiro, people around you will be going, who is that? Who is wearing that fragrance? And that is no exaggeration. I'll tell you some real experiences with each one of these fragrances here. So if you have your Discovery set, let's begin. The first one that I'd like you to spray is Vibrato. Now this one here is the biggest hitting within the Sospiro family. A lot of people know this fragrance, and rightly so. It's an incredible fragrance that comfortably fits within that unisex. So my personal belief is that fragrances are unisex. Sometimes there are fragrances that have heightened in florals, but a man can comfortably wear that. Or a fragrance can be very heavy, woody, aromatic, but a woman can also wear this. Now, traditionally, aromatics are considered to be more of a masculine territory. In my family, this is the biggest hitting fragrance that everybody enjoys, whether it's the girls in my family or the boys in my family. If you are able to pick up this bottle in comparison to the others, you'll find that it's very lightweight. It's unfortunate that I can't see how much juice is left in here, but I'm going to say there are drops because and in particular, the girls in my family love to wear vibrato. Now, the word vibrato, what does it mean? It's a musical effect of the voices going up and down, vibrating essentially. And I feel that vibrato's name is perfect because there is this wonderful dance, this wonderful balance with the notes that are actually in the fragrance. When it opens up, it has an incredible, beautiful, sweet, candied grapefruit. Sometimes when you think grapefruit, you think more of like an Elysium by Roger Dove or Hachivat by Nishane. However, there's these other notes that begin to sort of dance around it, begin to vibrate through the actual fragrance. I feel that the evolution of this fragrance, it starts with this tart, candied grapefruit. Then it migrates to this beautiful white, bitter floral note that's in the mix and finally settles into a vibrant woody green. It is a fragrance that has so many different levels. When I first experienced it, the tartness of the grapefruit took me back a little bit because I was preparing myself more for the sweeter notes that I'm familiar with something like Elysium. If you've sprayed your card, I'd love you to smell that. What do you think of that grapefruit note on this opening? I'm hoping that you haven't looked at any notes or anything of that nature or jumped on their website. Interestingly, Sospiro have placed that it's a mandarin and a ginger that's on that opening. And maybe the ginger is what is creating that fizziness, that bitterness or the spiciness. But I am convinced, my brain says that it is a very sour grapefruit that is actually present. I don't get the sweetness of the mandarin. I mean, I love a mandarin note in an opening of a fragrance. I have a few mandarin leading fragrances, yet I'm not picking that up here whatsoever. For me, it's grapefruit all the way. This is one, if you want to put something on skin, the evolution of this fragrance is spectacular. Ladies, don't be afraid of this fragrance. I find that this is very comfortably a fragrance that a woman can enjoy, very much a man can enjoy too. My daughter-in-law, who loves fragrances, and I'm talking with capital letters, has fallen deeply in love with Vibrato. The moment that I brought it back here to the office, there was a heavy sigh of unhappiness because this fragrance was no longer at home. This was her compliment getter, no matter where she went, and she shared this experience with me a number of times, whether it was the office, whether it was out shopping, whether it was just on the street. Whenever she was wearing Vibrato, the sillage, the projection on this fragrance, and the presence that this fragrance creates was magical for her. For her, this was the compliment getter, the one that gave her the boost of confidence. For me, this fragrance has incredible longevity, 10 plus hours, and as I mentioned, its sillage and projection are both in the very confident, moderate, or high. Whenever I'm wearing it, whoever's wearing it, Vibrato is definitely in the air and definitely whisking its way through and creating absolute pure magic whenever you come across it. We're staying within that operatic term. The next fragrance that I'd love you to spray is Contralto. Now, alto means the highest. It's one of the 4 key voices within an opera. It's the highest voice that's there. Contralto is the lowest female voice within the actual opera. And I love the fact that for the lowest voice, the contralto, it has a lot to say. It really speaks volume and has incredible presence when it comes to the power and potency of this fragrance here. For me, I love this fragrance. I love this fragrance. This is not one that I would wear personally. I love it so much because my wife, this is her favorite. She wears this constantly. And when she is wearing contralto, there is a lot being said no matter where she goes. Whether it be out on the street, whether it be I've come home, I've walked into the house and all of a sudden contralto is everywhere around me. It's such a happy, divine scent. What are you detecting? What are you getting in that opening there? It's funny that there is a mandarin, or noted as mandarin, in Vibrato, which I don't detect. I detect like a mandarin note in this opening here. but there's no mandarin. But now it has that sweet, almost juicy, unique scent profile that is divine within a mandarin note. What I do know is that there's orange blossom. So now think orange blossom. So you're getting this very candied orange with a white floral. It's a very unique citrus note that's in there. It's citrus, but it's not really the classic citruses that you're familiar with. This will go through walls. This will scent a whole field. I mean, we could be walking out on the street and this is everywhere. Contralto is all around. I was preparing for this episode yesterday. I came back into the office. I opened the door and the most pronounced note, or the most pronounced fragrance that I could detect was Contralto. Incredible staying power. I found that the evolution on this fragrance is divine. I love the stages that it moves through as it dries down. It opens up, as I mentioned, with this beautiful candied citrus, bright citruses, mandarin-like, a slight white floral coming through it. It then goes into these beautiful clean woods. It has this woody scent profile to it, and finally a musky floral in the base. There is cashmere in the base, a gorgeous synthetic note that creates this beautiful ambery, woody, clean smell. And I think also it creates incredible longevity and staying power. 20 plus hours, you'll wake up in the morning and Contralto will still be singing to you. Also, its projection and sillage is in the high to confident moderate. It will stay with you. So let's deal with the elephant in the room. I've been told that Contralto is very similar to Bal d'Afrique by VIBRATO. The good news is I own Bal d'Afrique. This is one that I bought years and years ago, even before the channel, one that I very much enjoyed wearing. And I did a comparison. I smelt them side by side. So here is Bal d'Afrique. It's on the dry down now, so I'm getting more of the cleaner soapiness that's in the base. Slightly green, a little bit of woods. Contralto, we're still in that opening. I'm getting that beautiful orange blossom mixed in with the white florals and things of that nature. Now I did a comparison. I did blind smell. So my two editors, young ladies, my wife Sandra, and I sprayed on one arm Bal d'Afrique, on the other Contralto. I asked them which one could they detect, which one resonated with them. One of my editors loved Bal d'Afrique for its clean soapiness. It had this, according to her, it had this beautiful soapiness to it, very clean scent. My other editor and also my wife, instantly, my wife in particular, she's like Contralto, Bal d'Afrique. So she knew them quite well. The staying power on Contralto is unparalleled. Even my editor who loved Bal d'Afrique did mention that after a while, I think it was about 6 hours later, that the fragrance had come off, whereas Contralto was still present. I found that Bal d'Afrique and Contralto do start in a very similar way on that opening, but then as they dry down, they really go into two different directions. All three ladies did mention that the Contralto fully dried down, the citrus notes were still very present versus the Bal d'Afrique. So yeah, there is some similarities, but two separate fragrances. And then when it comes to its power, presence, projection, everyone found that Contralto has a lot more presence. If you want to try one on skin, I would recommend to you Contralto. You'll see the way that this fragrance evolves and how it begins to merge from that beautiful, bright, citrusy note. By the time that we finish this episode, you'll be deeper in the dry down. You can see where it started and where it's going to. So the last two fragrances are divine, easy to wear, beautifully sweet with those citruses, floral notes are playing in there. This next one, don't spray just yet. This is a monster. This is interesting. The name is Deep Ocean Amber. And the first thought that you have is that it is a marine aquatic fragrance. Deep Ocean Amber, yeah, of course, yeah, makes sense. For me, the amber obviously is the ambergris or the gray amber. So yeah, it's an aquatic fragrance that we're about to experience. Okay, so I wanted to prep you, reset your nose. Get ready, here we go. Ooh, 2 sprays. This is gorgeous. I'm making out like this is like a scary monster. Far from it. Whoa. Did you pick that up also in the air? One thing that is true with this fragrance is that its sillage is the magic. It's the glory of this fragrance. There are fragrances that as you spray it, you can bury your nose and just breathe it in. Contralto is a classic for that. On skin, it is magical. The orange, the white florals, the beautiful bouquet, the soft woods, just you can breathe it in for hours and days. Deep Ocean Amber is not that fragrance. Deep Ocean Amber is all about the sillage. The moment you put your nose to it, if you were to spray it on skin, it's like boom. It will hit you like a slap across the face. I'd like you to smell your card. It's just gorgeous, really. It's really, really spectacular. But so different to these other two. What are you detecting? What are you picking up? The first instance, it's not aquatic. So for me, I don't pick up anything when it comes to ocean, ozonic, salty skin, sea air, none of the above. If anything, I'm picking up a very smoky, resinous kind of note, spicy. I'm picking up this spice that's coming through with a very deep, smoky base. This is another one of those fragrances where the evolution is glorious. Where you begin in this moment of smokiness and resins, and then where it moves to, and finally the dry down. The dry down really is the magical part of the fragrance, and it will bring you into that deep ocean as per the name. It starts off with this sweet, smoky, almost spicy note in there. Then it does move to a balsamic, resinous, musky tone. Finally, it's a soul rumbling musk. It's this deep, not animalic, but not floral either. So it's not an ambrette. It has a very unique touch. The only thing I can explain it is that it is an ambergris. This is an actual gray amber that's being used in the base. I had an opportunity to visit the Jovoy boutique in Paris, met with Francois Hennen. He actually showed me real gray amber, so real ambergris. That piece there was worth over 40,000 euros, and I had an opportunity to not only touch it, but also smell it up close. On my fingers, it had a sassy, animalic, musky tone to it. It was not putrid, but and not necessarily seaweed or algae or dead fish or anything of that nature, but there was definitely an animalic, musky tone on my actual skin. However, if you just smelt the gray amber, it reminds me of this. It has this deep rumbling musk to it, and it's quite unusual because I was expecting, I guess, a level of animalic, or I was expecting a level of sea salt air, but no. My wife Sandra loves white florals, citruses, powdery fragrances. Yet when I'm wearing this, and recently it happened again, I get a comment of, whoa, what's that? What are you wearing? That's a beautiful fragrance. Never have I asked her to smell on my skin because I know the moment, because I don't want to distract her from the beauty of this fragrance. Again, its sillage is its magic. Up close, it's way too strong. Some of these notes really, literally punch you in the face. I would recommend, if you want to test something, put on Deep Ocean Amber. It's a hidden gem in my opinion, one that gets overlooked in the collection, but it is such a glorious, beautiful statement maker fragrance. People like to have boss fragrances, but what does that even mean? Well, a boss fragrance has, because you don't know if the boss likes you or not like you. At the end of the day, they're the boss. And so there's a little bit of like, yeah, you're doing a great job, but you got to do more. So this sort of ebb and flow. That's this fragrance here. It has this ebb and flow. It has this repulsion, attraction component to it, where one moment you're like, whoa, what is that magic? Another moment you're like, whoa, what just went through? What just went past? But let me just say, this has presence. This has a commanding nature to it. This is a statement maker, but it is gloriously appealing. One thing that I love about the fragrance is that it's not a room filler. You'd think a fragrance with that much potency and power would just destroy anywhere you walk into, this olfactory boof. But no, in fact, the olfactory boof is contralto, whereas Deep Ocean Amber, a moderate sillage and projection. It has 12 plus hours. You will, and look, the truth is, you'll spray it in the day, you'll wake up in the morning, and you'll still smell it. Not as pronounced as contralto. Contralto is a monster. I'd love you to smell contralto. It's changed. It's got, the citrus is still present, but I'm getting more of the florals. There's a musky tone coming through now. Now compare it to Deep Ocean. Whoa, the smoky, the spicy, slight woods, but there's a musky tone. Musky tone on Contralto, super appealing. You can give it a kiss. Musky tones on Deep Ocean. You don't know where you stand. Just don't hurt me. Gorgeous. Big recommendation, statement maker. You want a signature scent, Deep Ocean Amber. Trust me on this. Deep Ocean Amber will be one, the scent profile that this creates will make a difference to you. Let's talk about the perfumer. None of these are created by themselves. There is an artist that stands behind every fragrance. Sometimes I get a little bit sad when a fragrance is acknowledged and recognized, but not the creator of it. If you see a beautiful painting, if you watch an incredible movie, if you hear a piece of music, you always think of the artist that is behind that. Whereas with a perfume, you just say, oh yeah, it was X company that created the perfume. But in a lot of cases, the answer is no, it was a perfumer. Sometimes there are brands that the owner is the perfumer, but in a lot of cases, it's a perfumer. It's an artist that stands behind that fragrance that they've created, but they're never acknowledged. So who is the creator of these incredible fragrances? A gentleman by the name of Christian Provenzano. Someone that I deeply respect. If you have a look at his pedigree, Clive Christian, Electimus, Boadicea the Victorious, Spirit of Kings, and it goes on and on and on. The first fragrance that I fell in love with pre-channel very, very early on was Penhaligon's Halfeti. For me, that was a fragrance that blew my brain. Now, when the brand rebooted in 2022, Christian was the creator of each one of these fragrances. So what you see before you is the artistry, the magic and the creativity that is Christian Provenzano. I just need to give this man kudos for creating this incredible collection. Now, in a lot of creative endeavors, the artist, the musician, the actor, the painter can have airs about themselves, especially if they've made some big inroads within their industry. You know, they have a sense of presence. I've met some perfumers where I respect highly, but they're a bit awkward. They're a bit standoffish. They're like, do you know who I am? And I'm like, yeah, I know who you are. But they behave in a way that, well, it doesn't make you feel comfortable to go up to them. Not Christian Provenzano. Have a look at this episode I created. I mentioned the first time that I met with Christian and how genuine, how sincere, how hospitable, how open he was to someone who is nobody like me. Other than I'm a perfume lover, but I can't sort of say I've created this or I've done that. As I mentioned, if you'd like to know more about that first encounter that I had with Christian, have a look at this video. It's actually quite comical how that whole thing evolved. That episode is also all about BASSO, which now, beautiful segue, I'd love you to grab your BASSO and spray that. This is a monster. Boom, like it's a boom, don't you think? All right, I'd love you to do this. Grab VIBRATO and smell that. So push BASSO away for a second. How appealing is this? How beautifully, just the composition, the allure, the enticement, the balance between the sourness, the fruits, the citrus, but the florals, slight woods, and I do love the balance between the sweet and bitter. This is balance between these two. Okay. Oof. I just got like a sweetness just then. It's a pulled away, just gorgeous. All right, BASSO. Wowie, wow, wow. Just like, okay, here, Sospiro does list, or the website does list that there is grapefruit on that opening. And unlike some of these others where there's evolution and movement, I don't get that. For me, the way that I define BASSO is this grapefruit that emerges, but then all its supporting characters, all the supporting cast in this particular fragrance all come out with it together. Boom. And so you have this grapefruit with the sourness, but also supported by the galbanum, the vetiver, the nutmeg, the black pepper, these other notes that just create the envelope around it. So it's equal part citrus and bitter and green and earthy and woody-like. Just it all comes out together. I find that this is a glorious, masculine, leaning fragrance. It does fall into the woods category. So we tend to find that a lot of masculine fragrances are either woods or aromatic in that sort of space. However, my wife, Sandra, who, as I mentioned before, loves white florals and citrus fragrances, loves wearing BASSO. It's one that it just radiates. It doesn't radiate beauty, it radiates confidence. There is that grapefruit citrus note is definitely very present and very pronounced throughout the entire fragrance. But it's now a grapefruit with just muscles, just like these bulging muscles all the way through it. The term BASSO, another operatic term, what does it mean? Again, that episode, I went into a lot more detail. But essentially, it's the deepest male voice within an opera. There's a beautiful opera by Mozart called Don Giovanni. The Commendatore, when he appears, he has this presence, the way that his voice, I'm telling you, it reverberates throughout the entire opera. The foundations begin to shake when he appears, and the way he says Don Giovanni is just spine tingling. If you want a fragrance that is perfect for winter, if you want a fragrance that's perfect for summer, BASSO is the one. I find that this plays beautifully in summer as you sweat, as your body heats up, the fragrance emerges, the grapefruit is divine, but also in a winter landscape, because of all those stronger supporting notes, the vetiver, the galbanum, the black pepper, all these other notes create this wonderful, long-lasting winter fragrance that continues to retain its projection and its power. I find that I get a comfortable 10 plus hours with this fragrance, and again, projection is high into the moderate, very confident moderate. So one that no matter where you are, what time of year you're in, BASSO will actually be just glorious for you. Best to last? Well, I am following the Michael Edwards fragrance wheel, and this now brings us, I guess, to the other side. But yes, best to last. This is another one where there's no excuse why it's a hidden gem. There's no excuse. I can understand why Deep Ocean Amber is a hidden gem. It is, again, if you smell that now, we're going to go deeper in that dry down. You are getting now that amber. So that gray amber, the slight muskiness that's down the bottom of the actual fragrance, the smokiness has come down, that resinous component that you discovered early on. It's not as pronounced, but it's a soul rumbling amber. It goes even deeper than this. So again, if you've had the opportunity to put this on skin, wait till you see how this ends up, where you land with the fragrance. Something completely different in the opposite direction. So this is one that I invite you to put on skin. Yes, you can put it on card, but if you haven't, if you still got some real estate on your body to put some fragrance on, then I'd recommend to you Pasticcio. What are you detecting? I love playing this game with people. What are you getting from this fragrance? Unlike some of the others where you're getting very clear notes coming through, grapefruit or this spicy smokiness, what are you detecting on this one? I know that when I first encountered it, I had a hard time. I'm like, what is this? What is this perfume? What is this smell? For me, it was, if anything, it was round. It was very smooth. It was complete. There was no one particular note that sort of came out more than anything else. It has a sweetness to it. There is a bit of like a citrus, but it's not a citrus that you're familiar with, or definitely not like what we've experienced with Vibrato or Basso. Basso has a pastry-like touch to it, don't you think? There's like a Madeleine. Think of a Madeleine cake, which also has a citrus touch to it in there. It has just a gentle vanilla that's also coming through. So all these different things are all just like coming out. So what does the word pasticcio mean? In musical terms or in operatic, it means that there have been different composers all come in to create this one piece. In Italian, pasticcio means mess. Now have a look at these notes. How many florals are in here? Tell me that you can detect rose, ylang-ylang, jasmine. I can detect the powderiness, so there's a soft, powdery part to the fragrance, which could be attributed to iris. But there's nothing that really sort of stands out that says, I am a rose or ylang-ylang or a jasmine white floral. It's just a very round, creamy composition. So what I'd love you to do, I want you to experience the opening again. So I'd love you to spray your card. Don't spray your skin again. I'd love you to spray your card because I want you to see the difference between the dry down that is happening on your skin and now these opening notes when it comes to the fragrance. So now, as you experience it again, I detect like powdery fruits. There is a powderiness to it, and almost to the point where I feel like I'm running my fingers through some talcum powder or something soft and caressing, but with a slight fruity touch to it. Something like an apple or a black currant. A slight citrus in there also. Now, smell your hand. You get this sort of creamy bouquet now, this musky florals. When it finally dries down, it does go into these lactonic, milky, woody, soft caressing florals. It's really, really divine. They're to the point where I almost feel like there is some kind of lactonic touch to it, some kind of milkiness, some kind of creaminess, but more from like an almond, like a nut, like this creamy nuttiness to it. Blended in with these woody, musky, floral touches to it. I don't know what it is about this fragrance that resonates with my soul so much. It could be some memory from my childhood, or it could be something that I experienced where this fragrance, in a subliminal way, takes me back to that moment because I can't get enough of it. I mean, whenever I spray it, whenever I show a lot of people this particular fragrance, for me, it is a hidden gem within the Sospiro range. It does create a sense of calm, of peace. It's not necessarily a confident maker fragrance. So it's not something that I would go into a meeting to, I guess, feel power and potency. That's Basso. Basso will do that for me. Whereas with Pasticcio, it's about calming my soul. I know that a lot of people love using woody fragrances as a way to lower your vibrations. For me, Pasticcio is that masterpiece. Gorgeous. I get 24 hours plus whenever I'm wearing this. The next morning when I wake up, I'm smelling very clean, very clear Pasticcio on my skin. When it comes to its sillage and projection, it's a very high, moderate, or even into that super, like, I always say that there is a high, moderate, and then there is, not nuclear, but just that next boof. Recently, I was wearing this fragrance and I came across my dad. We were catching up. Now, my dad is, when it comes to fragrance, a little bit on the fussy side. He's very, very particular. Sometimes I've shown him big hitting fragrances. I know that he's an aromatic dry wood style of man, and I show them classics within that genre. And he's like, they're too strong. I don't like them. We met up. One thing that we do as family, we always hug and kiss. Instantly, when he hugged me, he pulled back and he said, beautiful fragrance. That is really nice. That's one that I would love. And what he was hinting is, I don't mind if you drop the bottle off. As we were talking, in mid-conversation, again, he's like, that fragrance is very, very beautiful. Now, he did that 2 or 3 times throughout the process of the conversation. This is a fragrance that resonated with him also. This is a fragrance that had very confident push. I mean, we were probably about a meter and a half apart from each other, and the fragrance was definitely dancing around. Pasticcio, when I've shown it to other people, it's a hit. So again, if you haven't sprayed it on skin yet, I invite you to do so. Try it out. Feel the magic and the beauty of this particular fragrance, and the artistry, the creativity, the wonder that is Christian Provenzano to create something with all those notes, so many different things, and yet its delivery of it is sublime and so unique, so beautiful. Hope you enjoyed that. First 5 of the Discovery set. As I mentioned before, if you haven't purchased your Discovery set, just jump on the Sospiro website, use the code NFC, you'll get 50% off, and you'll have a chance to also experience this alongside me. Now, please know, each one of these I personally selected. So these are the ones that really resonate with me and ones that I love wearing, and also all those around me also enjoy too. Look forward to your comments. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.